Good Monday afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in to the PWTorch Fireside Chat for Monday, November 14th, 2022. Hopefully, everybody out there had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thanks for being with me right now to preview WWE Monday Night Raw. If you don't know, you should know. We are live on this channel every single day, Monday through Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be here live previewing the big show of the day. So Monday, Raw, Tuesday, NXT, Wednesday, Dynamite. On Friday, we preview SmackDown. And then on Thursday, we are live with the Fireside Chat flagship show, the PWTorch flagship YouTube show. Myself, Tyler Sage, and all of you get together and talk a little bit of wrestling. So that's Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So that's our week. That's our week here on YouTube. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, click that little notification button so you know when we're live, and that way you don't miss anything that's really important or that you might find entertaining. We also got interviews. We do our torch casts. All of that you can learn about at PWTorch.com and PWTorch on YouTube. So thanks for being with me. But the task at hand today is to preview Monday Night Raw tonight. And for the second week in a row, there just isn't that much out there to preview. Like, it's unfortunate. Zach in the chat, welcome. Afternoon to you as well. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Back to my rant. There's just not a lot to preview right now unless you're super excited for whatever reason about the big apology that The Miz is going to make on Miz TV. Are you? Are you not? Like, how is that going to hold up on against Monday Night Football? It's not the greatest game tonight, but it's still NFL football. And I just don't know that, what they have announced for tonight is a strong enough reason to tune into the show, to be honest. It's a bit of a rough go. So there's three things that WWE is promoting on their website right now, which is how we judge whether or not to talk about it on this preview show. The first is that of The Miz. The Miz will be hosting Miz TV tonight and will be apologizing, whatever that means, I suppose, for the Johnny Gargano stuff, like the issue that Gargano has caught him up in terms of kind of fabricating this whole story with Dexter Lumis and not paying up. I'm assuming that's what he's going to apologize for. I guess we don't know, but that is my assumption. Dr. Ross, hello. Azan, hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We're talking Miz and Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano. So to me, this is not this is just not like a segment. It's part of a story, yes. I think this type of segment, when done right, can have its place in a wrestling show, but it's been going on for a long time now. And when it was Dexter Lumis against The Miz, I was a lot more lenient on this program and on this feud, because really, Dexter Lumis is not going to be a main attraction guy. The Miz is The Miz. He's a utility player. Yes, maybe he is apologizing for the entire angle. Good point. I'm not sure. It's worthy of an apology at this point. And the reason is, again, not because of Lumis and Miz. I think they're kind of like in their spots right now as far as this feud goes. Like, I don't think they're out of place. What irks me about this feud in particular is Johnny Gargano's involvement on a couple different levels. And so I'm curious as to your guys' thoughts on that. So, drop them in the chat. But Johnny Gargano on two levels is a mistake in terms of being involved with this program. Number one, it's low card stuff. This is low card stuff. This is as low card as low card gets. And so to have Johnny Gargano come in, and if you guys remember back to his debut, right? Like the audience knew who that guy was. And Gargano always had like an innate ability to just connect with his audience. Like there's just something there. There's something about his personality. I liken it to Sami Zayn in a lot of ways, or Bryan Danielson in a lot of ways, in terms of just being somebody that's just likable on the surface and that people can attach themselves to and invest in. And you can tell when you spot those acts, you can tell really good and strong long-term stories that are rooted in that particular character and that particular act winning, right? But in order to do that, you can't have the act toil away in mid-card stuff. You have to have him out there and in the ring on a regular basis. And he doesn't even have to be winning, but he's got to be like cultivating that story of he's the underdog, he's the fighter, he's sympathetic, like, and you tell that story week over week, month over month, and sometimes even year over year. That's how you get that storyline over. Daniel Bryan in WWE was not WrestleMania 30 level over until quite a few years into the run that he had with the company. So with that on the table for Gargano, every time he comes out there and kind of is involved with this, like that type of longer term story gets harder and harder to tell because he's defined lower and lower and down on the card on a regular basis. So that's the first issue. The second issue is Gargano just is not coming across well in this environment and in this story, period. Like he comes across a little arrogant. He comes across as a bit of a bully, kind of, for lack of a better term. Like Miz seems genuinely shook up. And yes, we all know that Miz is the kind of character that you just want to see get beat up. But there's how do I say it? There's a smugness to what Gargano is doing. And I think that smugness is kind of taking away from like what the root of the strongest character he can play is, which is the likability. Like he should be leaning into that, not trying to drive that away. Look, he had the same type of kind of body language and presentation as the Johnny Gargano in the Way in NXT, except it made sense then because he was a heel. You wanted to feel that way about him. You wanted to dislike him. And so right now, when you put those two things together, the fact that it's not working for Gargano and he's pretty much the most important act of the three at this point in time, or at least the act with the highest upside, it's not working for him. And because it's not working for him and he's the central kind of protagonist at this point in time, it's not working for anybody except like kind of filling content on a week-to-week basis. And I don't think that's a good enough reason to I just don't think that's a good enough reason to keep going with this thing or to have Gargano involved in it. Like we should be seeing Johnny Gargano out there talking about wrestling, talking about winning, showing what he can do in the ring. You know, like that's the ultimate. That's where he gets, you know, that's where he connects. And we just have not seen it come to fruition at this time within this story. Hello, Sean. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. Azan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Glad you pressed play on the show today. We're talking Monday Night Raw. We're breaking down the Miz on Miz TV. How do you guys think this is going to go? Like, he comes out there and he apologizes. Like, when I break this down and go, okay, what different directions can WWE take this? It's like, we've kind of been there, done that. Like, this screams to me, okay, Gargano's going to come out, or or Loomis is going to come out. And like, we've already done that. We've already been there. But this thing either needs more depth, either needs another direction, or it needs to just kind of wrap up, do the match with Miz and Loomis and get on with it. Just get on with it would be my would be my suggestion. Yeah, Sean, I agree. Like his character he needs to be better. Like he needs to be better. I think on multiple levels. Like I don't think we've seen it in the ring from him either. And so, he's going to be a guy, and he's going to be a guy that Triple H wants to count on at the top of the card and not at the middle of the card. We really need to see a more concerted effort on his part and on Triple H's part, Paul Levesque, to push him in that way. Period. Okay, this is interesting. War Games match: Johnny, Candice, Dexter, and Indy versus Miz, Maurice, Dominic, and Rhea. Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense. I suppose you can make that make sense, but I don't think they're going to overdo it with the War Games matches. I think we've got the two that we're going to get. We've got the Damage Control versus Team Bianca Belair one, and then we've got what I think is going to be coming out of Friday SmackDown, the Bloodline against Drew McIntyre, the Brawling Brutes, and whoever else. So yes, Dr. Ross, but also, boy, we don't need a third War Games match. We don't. And this one to me would be like third level. Like I just don't think like that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it's a feud, it's happening, but there's not like a serious nature to this at all. And if you want to protect the War Games gimmick on its first night out on the main roster, I think you really have to like protect that gimmick and put matches inside of it that make a lot of sense. That match that you outlined, Dr. Frost, is more to me like an 8-man tag of some kind on Raw, like an opening match on Raw, not War Games. Just because I want to protect War Games, not because you couldn't make that make sense. I see we're talking a little Packers in the chat, a little Cowboys. My team's the Bears, so we've done the favors and did the job for both of those teams, except it was a different Justin Fields. Not really for the Cowboys, but for the Packers certainly. Sean, Justin Fields is coming for you, my friend, coming for you. Us and our 3-7 record or whatever it is. All right, enough football. Also on tonight's show, we got Matt Riddle will face Chad Gable. Yeah, big time for sure. Riddle versus Gable. Is that doing anything for anybody? That could be like a main event match. I'm sorry, but it could. That could be a main event match. And I don't mean main event like main event of Raw match. I mean like, the Hulu show main event. Like, what are we doing here? This is what Riddle's doing? I'm super cold on this. Someone in the chat, give me a good reason why this match is happening. We know the reason. They've been around each other. They've been like involved. We've had Riddle and Elias against Chad Gable and Otis. Like, it makes sense from that perspective. But this is a really far step down for Riddle at this point. When earlier in the summer, or late in the summer, right before SummerSlam, he was, in a majorly. That's not the word I was looking for, but in a major feud with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline and RK Bro. I mean, you kind of had this guy like just kind of go, and kind of keep building himself up. And he found a little way to loop in a little more seriousness to him. He found a way to kind of balance out like the stoner dopey stuff, and it worked. And I think you had an audience that wanted to see him, kind of keep going up the card and maybe even get a title run at some point. Not this year. And I don't think he should have been the guy to beat Reigns, but he had momentum. And now he really has nothing. I mean, he won that Fight Pit match, and you certainly wouldn't know it because Seth Rollins is now a babyface. Seth Rollins is now the United States champion. And he kind of like, in some ways, just just kind of snatched up Riddle's spot. Not good for Riddle. This match, could be a good match. Obviously, you've got some very talented performers in this, in Riddle and Chad Gable from an in-ring perspective. So I think the match itself could be good. This is not an indictment on on that. It's just I look around and I'm like, what, this is what Riddle's doing right now? Like that's not the best thing for the show. You know, that's not the best thing for the company. I would be going a totally different direction with Riddle. No question about it. And yeah, maybe they are. I think that's a good point to bring up, Steven. I'm pretty sure they're keeping Riddle on the ice until Randy's back. The thing of it is, though, man, like there's no indication when or if Randy's coming back, like at all. There's not been reporting as to what the injury really truly is and how long he's going to be out. So, I mean, you could be waiting for a long time on that. And by the time you get there, if you put him on the ice for that long, like, he could be ice cold for a Randy return. And like that thing isn't as hot as it could be. Now, I think RK Bro is a bit Teflon as far as that goes now. I think people really enjoyed that act quite a bit. So you don't really run the risk of that, but it's also, and I talk about this all the time, it's an opportunity cost. Timing is everything in pro wrestling. You've got to strike while the iron's hot, right? Much like my MJF John Moxley full gear analysis. That will be the underlying theme throughout the week on this show and on podcasts and in different editorials for PWTorch.com. Like, timing is everything. You got to strike. And WWE didn't with Riddle. And now they either have to build him back up again or kind of keep him where he is. And that's unfortunate. But should be a good match tonight. It's kind of a meaningless match, though. And I don't think you want that as one of the three things that you're promoting on the show. I just don't think you want that. This is one of three things out of 3 hours of content tonight on Raw. And we are, less than 3 hours away from the show. I don't know what to say about that. It's not good. Yeah, they were hot for sure. Steven, I mean, super exciting when you go back and they had like a long run too. Like when they got together and they won the tag team titles at SummerSlam in 2021, like one of the first big events coming out of the depths of the pandemic. Like they were hot, but I just assumed that, all right, we're going to see the Randy turn, but they didn't. They held back on that, and they just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. And we didn't get to see the full payoff of that. We didn't see it turn. We didn't see them kind of win the titles back after losing them. So, there's a lot of things that could have happened there, but Randy's injury, was unfortunate. I like that, Sean. I like this Riddle versus Lashley. That can work. That's something like suitable for Riddle at this point in time. I think, you're not going to do Lashley versus Seth forever. You're probably going to run that back, I would imagine. But yeah, you can do Riddle and Lashley into the winner. That would be good. That'd be really good. I kind of see if Lashley's going to be working with Brock Lesnar at the beginning of 2023 or at WrestleMania next year, like you probably aren't going to get like a big Riddle win. But I mean, it's not all about that sometimes. It's who you're working with. And I think that'd be a suitable opponent for Riddle and for Lashley for that matter. Okay. And then the last thing tonight, guys, the only thing I like to do these shows and spend a little more time, but we don't have much else to go off of here. Seth Rollins is going to wrestle Finn Balor. Okay. And the title's not on the line, folks. No title. So you got Seth Rollins, you've got Finn Balor, you got the Judgment Day factor. WWE.com, I got it up here right on the page. They're trying to sell this as a, historic clash, like renewing their rivalry together. And they've had a lot of matches, and they've had pay-per-view matches. They were involved in a triple threat, you know, a triple threat situation or match at WrestleMania 34. And, you know, like, they have history, but they don't have that much history. They don't have that much history, or not any history that I think is like super, super like relevant, you know. But it's good they're promoting. I can accept that. Azan, where is it online? As I'm looking at the WWE.com Raw preview right now, those are the 3 matches. So hit it up, hit me up. What am I missing? Okay. So moving on here, Seth Rollins working with Finn Balor, I think is interesting. And if you had any doubts, and why would you, or why wouldn't you? Because it's tough. It's tough to tell these days with Seth in particular. But this is Seth Rollins as a babyface. You know, the fact that he's working with Finn Balor, who's a heel, and a heel in one of the, you know, most beneficial positioned factions on Raw. I wouldn't say the hottest, but they get a lot of TV time in the Judgment Day. Like, I don't think WWE is trying to walk that line with Seth anymore. Like, I think last week was what it was, and it was kind of almost like a double turn of sorts with Lashley and Rollins. And it's smart for Rollins. We talked about this last week. It is a smart move for Seth to be a babyface at this point. Like, the fans wanted to cheer him. They wanted to sing the song. He clearly didn't have much interest at all in getting heat anyway from the crowd, because he would kind of just encourage the cheers, and he would encourage the singing, and he would encourage just engaging with him in a positive way. And that's not heel. And so now you have the ability where it's like, now it's okay to cheer him. And I think it's a big deal. I think it made him look like a big star last week. And so I think it's all, it's, you know, thumbs up on that move. I mean, Finn Balor is good foil for him too. You know, he's a good enough opponent. He can get a good match out of him. Or Rollins, well, they can have a good match together. Like, one's not carrying the other. But so I think it's a good Monday Night Raw match. Like, I see this match being at like the top of the second hour, like in that kind of quote unquote main event slot, but not the last match. This is a good thing for Raw to have these guys positioned in this way. Seth I think is a better babyface. And a lot of that is kind of on his shoulders too. Like, I think he's confined, if you wanted to, like an unlikable personality, but he refuses to, like, he doesn't want to fully extinguish all the things of his babyface gimmick that get pops so that he can get booed. Like, he still does the high flying moves. He still does the flips. He still does the singing stuff. He didn't change his music. Like, it's, you know, it just seems like his priority is just kind of getting strong reactions. And I think people want to cheer Seth, and now they have permission to, and that's really, really important. Want to get to some questions in the chat here before we wrap things up. Dr. Ross, you had a pretty good question here, and it's about the Seth Rollins moveset. Is the stomp a heel move, or can Seth keep it as a face? I think you can definitely keep it as a face. Without question. I think it's a flashy enough move, and it's a move that he can hit on anybody, which I think is really important for babyfaces in particular. You can kind of hit that move quickly. So I'd like to see him keep that, you know, in his repertoire, and keep going with that, because I think he's known for that. Like, that's his move. And he tried to kind of steal the pedigree away, and that was okay. But I think his matches flow the best, and like the psychology of them work the best when he kind of uses that move to kind of definitively win. So I think he could do that. Bigger picture though. You know, as I said before, Seth didn't eliminate moves from his moveset when he was a babyface and a heel. Like, he worked very much the same way. which I don't necessarily think was a smart move. But because of that, he doesn't have to change too much right now because he could just kind of lean right back into being a babyface, and he can do his over-the-top rope stuff. So I think just generally speaking, he gets a better reaction as a babyface with his moveset that he doesn't change when he works heel anyway. So lean into that, go that direction. You guys are cracking me up in the chat as usual. So that's interesting, Hazan, that they say that the belt is on the line, because online they say it's a non-title clash. So if that's updated, and it is a title match, then okay. Like, so far so good. We'll see. Either way, I don't think that match is going to feature Finn Balor winning. To me, it screams, Seth goes over, some sort of shenanigan finish, and that's that. Steven, we'll wrap with your question. Zach, Kevin Owens seemed like the obvious fifth man for War Games, but apparently he's injured. Who would you go for next? Yeah, that's unfortunate, huh, guys? Like, if you hadn't heard the news, Owens last night at a house show in a match again, or over the weekend, not sure. He injured his knee, strained MCL in a match against Austin Theory. So it doesn't look like he's. I guess maybe he'll be involved in War Games, but it doesn't look like it, just because of the fact that that injury is pretty rough. He had to be helped out of the ring. Not a good situation for him, and hopefully he heals up quick. But boy, that's an interesting question. If Owens is not available, and like for the babyface side of this, and so like let's say we have, you've got the bloodline, right? Roman Reigns, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, 5, and then you've got Drew McIntyre, you've got the Brawling Brutes, so that's 3, 4. They need one more because Owens is out. So who could that one person be? Like, if you like, it might be interesting if you want to go all the way and see like just how hot this person is. You could throw Seth Rollins in there. He's got history with the bloodline. He's got history with Roman Reigns. He doesn't have, I don't believe he has a match currently at Survivor Series. So I think I would keep my eye out for that. I also think that Johnny, I don't know, David, Johnny Gargano, like, could you put him in there? Absolutely. But I don't think that, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, he's just not in that place where toiling with the bloodline at this point, it doesn't seem very with his character right now. So, I don't see it, even though it could obviously work, and he has history in those matches for sure. So I say Seth Rollins. Tyler Bate would be interesting, but I think, Steven, that's a bit of a long connection, and yeah, like a big stage for somebody that nobody, like, people know, but the mainstream WWE audience definitely doesn't know. So you'd have to do some work there for sure to get him ready for that moment. I think they go probably a different direction with somebody a little bit more made. Gunther. I thought of Gunther, but then again, he's heel, and he's worked against all those guys in the match that'd be on his team, or a lot of them anyway. So I don't think it's going to be him either. So I say Seth. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Seth. I don't know who else from a singles side of things is available for number one, and big enough as far as star power goes. So Azan Rey Mysterio is hurt too. He went down over the weekend. We don't know how injured he is, but he had a walking boot on his leg. So it's either ankle or foot, per Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer. So I don't think he's going to be involved as well. Yeah, Braun could work too, Dr. Ross. That's good. I mean, he could work. He would not be my choice, but he could definitely work that match. And I could totally see him doing some kind of crazy Braun stunt bump in that type of match. Like you could really cook up something pretty cool. But yeah, so that makes sense too. Good guess. Good guess. We'll see soon enough. All right, guys, that's Raw. That is Raw. If you guys have other questions, hit me up on Twitter. Z Heydorn Torch at Z Heydorn Torch, ZHEYDORN Torch. You can follow our brand on Twitter at PWTorch. We will be live tweeting all throughout Monday Night Raw, and you can keep it locked. Check out our detailed analysis and detailed coverage of Monday Night Raw on PWTorch.com. Wade's column is up there. And Danny Doucette's column is up there as well. So we've got two different perspectives to watch Raw with. Follow along, second screen. And, oh, God, Steven. you're killing me, man. Jeff Jarrett in War Games. I mean, if there's somebody out there today that can pull that off and work Full Gear and then turn around and work War Games, it's Jeff Jarrett, right? I mean, we can all agree on that. Great stuff. All right, guys, thank you. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the videos. Click the little notification button. You guys know the drill, but I appreciate you being here. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon to preview NXT. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. I'll catch you guys next time.